Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us for this devotional from the You Need Faith in Jesus team. Today, we are diving into Psalm 68. And wow, what a song of power. You could call it a victory anthem, celebrating God's triumph. But what's truly amazing is how this majestic, powerful song also shows us his deep, personal care for the most vulnerable among us. Let's explore this incredible contrast together. So, this psalm doesn't ease into things. No, it bursts onto the scene with a thunderous prayer, a powerful cry for God to just arise and make his awesome presence known. Now, this prayer has some serious history. David is actually quoting the words of Moses, way back in the book of Numbers, chapter 10. You see, every single time the Ark of the Covenant, which was the symbol of God's presence, started to move to lead Israel, Moses would declare this. It's a powerful reminder that victory isn't about our brilliant strategies or our strength. The battle is won the moment God's presence shows up. And just look at the two totally opposite reactions to God's presence. For his enemies, all their strength, all their plans just become as flimsy as smoke in the wind or as helpless as wax in front of a fire. They just vanish. But for the righteous, that very same presence sparks an explosion of joy. The text says they exceedingly rejoice. That's not just being happy, that's pure, overflowing celebration. So as we see this theme of God's presence building, it starts to reveal something really stunning about his character. The psalmist shows us two sides of the same glorious king, his unbelievable power and his tender compassion. First, we get a glimpse of his immense cosmic power. This picture of God who rideth upon the heavens, that's an image of absolute majesty and sovereignty. He's not some small, local God. He is the ruler of the entire universe, moving swiftly and with total authority over everything he's made. And then, in the very next breath, the psalmist just pivots from that cosmic power to this incredibly intimate compassion. The same king who rules the heavens, from his holy place, personally becomes a father to the orphan and a legal defender, a judge for the widow. He is the champion for those who society often overlooks. So here's the point we really need to get, this divine balance. The God whose presence can literally shake Mount Sinai is the same God who gently places lonely people into families and liberates prisoners from their chains. This lines up perfectly with what the book of James tells us. Real faith is about combining holiness with practical, loving care for people in need. All right, now we're getting to the theological heart of this whole psalm. It's describing the triumphant return of a victorious king, and you'll see it points directly to the incredible work of Jesus Christ. This verse right here is key. I want you to picture a conquering king returning to his capital city. He's defeated his enemies, he's leading a parade of captives, and now he's handing out the spoils of war as gifts to his people. But notice the most stunning part. The gifts are even for the rebellious. This shows that former enemies are now welcomed into his kingdom. How amazing is that? So, hundreds of years later, the Apostle Paul, writing in Ephesians chapter 4, quotes this exact verse and applies it directly to Jesus. When Jesus ascended into heaven, he led captivity captive. What does that mean? It means he won the decisive victory over our ultimate enemies, sin, death, and the devil. This is so profound, it completely redefines what victory is. The king's triumph isn't about military might, it's a spiritual conquest that brings us back to God. And from his throne, he poured out the gifts of the Holy Spirit on his church. You see, Christ won the victory and he generously shares all the benefits with us. Okay, so what does this ancient song really mean for us today, in our everyday lives? Well, the final section of the psalm shows us exactly how to live in the reality of our king's victory and how to draw strength from him every single day. I absolutely love this verse. God's goodness isn't some rare event or a once-in-a-while thing. The verse says he daily loadeth us with benefits. Every single day, he is generously pouring out his goodness, his provision, and his salvation on us. Just remembering this is such a powerful way to fight off anxiety and forgetfulness. So how can we actually live this out? Well, the psalmist gives us 4 really clear steps. First, start where the psalmist starts. Pray for God's presence to arise in your life and in your challenges, just like David did. Second, make a point to consciously remember his daily benefits. Like verse 19 says, he loadeth us with them. So take some time to actually name them and thank him for them. Third, reflect God's own heart by actively caring for the vulnerable around you, the fatherless and widows in our own communities. And fourth, join the great company from verse 11 and joyfully tell people the good news of his victory, sharing the hope that you've been given. And the psalm closes with this absolutely incredible truth. This awesome, universe-ruling God, he doesn't hoard his power. He gives his strength and his power to his people. The very same power that conquered sin and death is at work in you and me. And our only fitting response is to join the psalmist and just say, "Blessed be God." As we finish up, just let this sink in. You do not face your challenges alone. The victorious King gives his own strength and power directly to you. So the question for all of us to think about this week is this: how are we going to use it?